Welcome everybody. We're here under the Mats Radio, live, live, live. The date is October the 11th, 2024. The time is 1:02 p.m. Eastern Time. Our guest is 3 hours behind us, so it's not 1:02 on his time at all. It is in the morning where he's at. It's the afternoon where I'm at in Baltimore, Maryland. My great guest and personal friend of mine is in Oregon. So it's morning there, it's afternoon here, and whatever time you listen or hear this or see this, it could be morning, afternoon, late at night. Doesn't matter. We're here with another great exclusive Skype interview for Under the Mats Radio. This is your host Tech. We're bringing in a full-time YouTuber, a great reviewer. He's all over the YouTube genre. He's over the platforms. This man loves Jim Cornette. This man loves Denny's. He loves Cracker Barrel, as I can say personally, because we ate at Cracker Barrel before. He's done work for Ring of Honor. He's done work for other promotions. This man is a dad. He's a husband. He's an amazing person. He's done work in the ring, and he also does commentary for wrestling promotions all over. We're bringing in none other than Brian Zane.
Thank you
As you
for having me,
know,
man. I feel like a time traveler here. It's the morning here. It's the afternoon where you live. It's crazy. What a shrinking world we have. And yeah, boy, you really just kind of described the whole biography right there in that intro. But it's good to be here. Good to be here on your show. I think this might be the second time ever we ever had an interview, because I think like one of my first years of YouTubing, I might have been a guest on your show. I think that might be
yes,
how we actually first like
right.
connected. So long time in the making for this return meeting, this return interview.
Yes, that is true. And you are the owner, the host, the figurehead, the face of wrestling with regrets. That is regrets with a W. That's why you see the W3. Now, help me out. I ain't really good at math. My daughter is. Cube is two. Three is that square?
Two is squared, three
Two
is
is square.
cubed.
Three
So
is cube.
actually, if you
Okay.
take this literally, then my channel actually has 9 words that start with regret. So I got to figure
Okay.
out how to fill in the latter 2/3 of that name. But yeah, I actually didn't realize that this logo, when I made it, like I just thought, oh, this is a simple to the point impact font, boom, W3. And I made that like years ago. I made that like 11 years ago when I first came up with the channel. And then like one day, I think 3 or 4 years ago, I was just kind of playing WCW NWO World Tour again, just like playing it for the fun of it. And like that game when you like go through all the
Yes.
championship modes, you unlock everybody, then you get that additional fake promotion like the Worldwide Wrestling.
Yeah.
And what's their logo? It's only a big yellow W3. And I was like, oh no, was this like some seed that had been planted in my head decades ago? And like, oh, I did, and then not even thinking there's a connection. I hope no one else at like THQ or AKI catches this and tries to sue me. But I've been able to do this for this long so far, and no one's caught it. So
So thank you for correcting me. As you hear, fans, Tech is not good in math. I mean, I know the basics, but as my man Zane corrected me about cube and squares, so the W3, he actually told me. Let's talk about your shirt. I was there wrestling extravaganza in 1985. What happened in
Portland, Oregon,
1985?
baby.
Portland, Oregon, where you
Memorial
currently reside.
Coliseum.
What happened there? What happened on that?
I wouldn't. I mean, I was born in '85, so I actually wasn't there. Somebody can,
You don't
but
even know.
I
You
got
don't even
gifted this
know.
shirt. But I mean, no, that was actually a huge deal. The NWA extravaganzas that happened here were
Mhm.
super shows essentially because Don Owen
Yeah.
was the promoter, and guys like Dutch Savage and the Bournes and Buddy Rose and Roddy Piper. Those are the names of the guys that really ruled the land around here for a time. And yeah, I mean, I couldn't tell you all who actually worked this show. My writer, my friend, Mr. Ooh La La, he actually probably has the card as memorized, and he could tell you here, if he were here. But he's currently dealing with a bunch of crappy flight issues and airline problems on his way to Memphis right now. So I'm praying for you, Mister. Hope you get out of that safe.
I just looked it up here. Let's see. Uh, and I got one of my staff members sending it to me. Extravaganza, 1985, Portland,
Yeah.
Oregon.
And actually, this is a coincidence that it's sitting here next to me, but my other good friend Izzy gifted me this hat, which was like commemorating the Squeakquel, the second show they did there, Extravaganza 2. And
Oh
so I can
wow,
just
that's amazing.
sport both pieces of paraphernalia. I want someone to answer this question here. Rick Rude did not work the show, but who is this guy? Is this Lionel Richie here on the hat?
It
I'm
look
having
like
a hard
Lionel
time trying to figure
Richie.
out.
Look like Lionel Richie. Look like D from Shalimar. Like a whole bunch of people.
And this guy, it's like it wasn't any of the Barr family. I thought this dude was like Marco Stunt traveling in the past.
We see Road
Um,
Warrior Animal. We see Flair.
we see Hawk, we see
Hawk.
Slaughter. I
We see
think I think
Slaughter.
this is Billy
Young
Jack.
Boy, Billy
That's Billy
Jack.
Jack. Yeah,
Who's
I don't
that
know.
smiling though? Is that Martel?
We thought, yeah, we were trying to figure it out the other day. I think it might be Martel. Yeah, but this is just great. I love cool old, merch like this. And yeah, this was gifted to me by a fan a couple of years ago. And so, yeah, I love that kind of stuff.
So going by what my staff just sent me, 85 Portland, Oregon, early 80s had Roddy Piper, Buddy Rose, Rick Martel. It was an NWA AWA collaboration. Now, fans, if you don't understand, the NWA was the Crockett's, AWA was your boy Vern Gagne, where Hulk Hogan came from, Terry Bollea. And I'm looking now, I have the actual card right here. We're not going to go through it. But Ivan Koloff, Krusty Khrushchev, better known as Demolition, Smash, Repo Man, Hole in One Dorso.
We're going to see some Barry Darso on the YouTube channel very soon, by the way.
Good. Yeah, but Barry's a great guy. I met him a number of times, talked to him. Bobby Jaggers, who one of the underrated greats. Uncle Ivan, I got the interview, great guy, rest in peace. Him and his wife. Um, Carl Steiner, I've never heard of him. S Express, Steve Sampson, and Joe Savudi. I've never heard of them. So we're trying to figure out who them random ass faces are on that head. We're going to find it. But in this card, the NWA World Heavyweight Championship was Flair versus Magnum TA, who I got to talk to both times. Great people. Flair is Flair, the Flair cry. The Flair, Flair cry the drop of a hat.
Man, yeah, talk about anything to him and he'll just start crying. It's
You
like he
mentioned,
cries the way he bleeds. And
yes,
so it's very
exactly.
free.
We love Flair. All right, since we mentioned the Flair here, Under the Mat Radio, tell me your two favorite Ric Flair memories. When you think of Ric Flair, what's the two things that come to your mind? It could be a match, a moment, the Flair cry, as my man Biggie says. Shout out to Biggie.
Um, as far as Flair memories, I guess two of them. Well, getting to be there for Ric Flair's last match was pretty cool.
Yes, you was there. You were there.
It was a very interesting couple of days there in Nashville and something I'll never forget. And so yeah, being part of that and being part of StarCast, and so my association with that event was a pretty big moment for my career. I guess as far as like other moments that he had, can't really go wrong with his retirement match against Shawn Michaels, or his woo off with Jay Lethal, or his matches with Sting. It's hard to pick one, but yeah, no, he's definitely, he definitely got some bangers, as the kids these days say.
That's good. Favorite Ric Flair match?
Man, like one singular match, like I said, man, probably like not the Shawn Michaels one. Like for emotion, there's that, but it's like as far as like a good man, like I feel really good watching this. It's like this stuff with Terry Funk, Great American Bash, and Clash of the Champions. That stuff's all pretty brilliant. Mm-hmm.
And I respect you for saying that, because you didn't give the obvious answer when you say Flair It's old, the Steamboat trilogy, Chi-Town Rumble, Clash of the Champions. You know what I mean? Like the trilogy that they had. And what people don't realize, and that I got to see, is we know with Ric Flair, everyone say the Steamboat trilogy, Russell War, Chi-Town Rumble, Clash of the Champions. Greats. You didn't mention them, which I love. But people forget Flair had said it, and I was there. He had a great match with Ricky Steamboat in Landover, Maryland. And as a fan cam, if you look it up online, YouTube Daily Motion, where you can find it, Flair and Steamboat actually wrestled a great match on Saturday night. I don't know if you've seen that, Zane, or not. And also, they wrestled at Spring Stampede '94, which was their last match that they had. So
Yeah, no, they've had and they've had a lot of good matches in the Flair Steamboat trilogy. Obviously, great as well. But everyone's got a favorite anything, and it's always going to be different. Wrestling fans can't really come to a consensus on anything, is what I've learned.
that is true. Talk about what inspires you to start doing wrestling with Wregret, and what are some of the inspirations that you drew from starting your show and ongoing now?
Yeah, well, I mean, thinking about like when I first really discovered what like comedic wrestling commentary really was, and as far as like writing up about like crappy things in wrestling, my first exposure to that was Wrestle Crap. I discovered them in like high school
Yeah,
or early college.
yeah, I remember them.
WrestleCrap.com, which is still around. R.D. Reynolds, the late Blade Braxton. That was kind of my early exposure to it. And then I would see other like commenters on websites like tpww.net and other various GeoCities and Angel Fire sites. That's kind of how I picked up that humor, or the ability to find humor in wrestling, and a great outlet for it. And so that was kind of like early inspiration for me. And also in terms of like aesthetics and concept and format, what really got me into wanting to make Wrestling with Regret all those years ago was, being a big fan of like the Nostalgia Critic and Angry Video Game Nerd, two
Yes,
guys
love
who are
those
kind of like
guys.
early pioneers of that genre of like, here's a video essay by this, clearly neurodivergent individual, who has a very big passion about something and is going to tell you
Yeah,
about it. And so that was, they were pioneers in that. And I never really saw anyone doing that with wrestling. And so that was kind of my early push to do it. It was like, well, God, no one else is doing it, and I might as well try it myself and see what it's like, because I've worked in video production for many years. I went to school for it, and I worked in TV news in a couple of different markets over the years, producing shows and getting good at writing for television, and having that perspective as somebody who had been in the wrestling business as a wrestler and as a manager. I felt kind of gave me an edge. And so I had this access to production and knowledge of how to make videos, and had that extra background. And so I figured I might as well do it. And so after kicking that idea around for like, I don't know, probably a good year, is when I finally started like sitting down, writing scripts, and like getting my things in order to make videos. And so I did that for like a couple of years with like not too many views and kind of a slow building of subscribers. It took me like 2 years to get to my first like 1,000 subscribers. And so then after that, it just like blew up. Like something happened and the switch got hit, and then the channel just like blew up from there.
It's good. And shout out to Angry Video Game Nerd, Nostalgia Critic, to people who have had him on the show, interviewed them, great people, and it's good. And they're the OGs too, just being passionate about how they feel about a different medium. Being the art. One of my degrees is in fine art, so we say medium, or different media that they're into, and you drawing from them actually means a lot as well. Definitely so. How much has my man who I've met? I've talked about. He always ribs me. My man Corny, Jim Cornette. I know you love him. How has he influenced you, Jim Cornette?
Well, I don't know if you're aware of the more recent history, but no, I mean, we're not really on speaking terms anymore. But I mean, I always liked his work and always, like, respected his time as a manager and on commentary. He was one of the first, like, I actually first saw Cornette as a fan, like him doing color commentary. I didn't see any of his stuff as a manager by the time I started watching. So
Hmm.
it took me a while to kind of like circle back and see that history of him. We've been compared a lot over the years because, like, hey, we're white guys with glasses who have a prop when we're managing. Like, you know, people are, oh yeah, well, he must be trying to be Cornette, and I think that's a big reason I even moved to sweatsuits as my gimmick because I was trying to distance myself. Um,
Wow.
so there's a little bit of Cornette what I do at ringside. Um, and so, yeah, and getting to talk with him in the early stages of my channel and doing some stuff with him, having done the Cornette Gets It Wrong video was a lot of fun. It just kind of felt like destiny that we would eventually meet after that. And it was a really cool experience to meet him and work with him. And then we had a falling out over some Twitter stuff, basically stupid stuff, which, I think if I went back and did it again, I would probably have handled it a bit differently. I put out a whole video about it, and I think a lot of my stance on that hasn't changed, but it was all over like comedy wrestling, and I put out this tweet not naming anybody, basically, saying, hey, wrestling started in the circus. Let's have some clowns every now and then. And
Hmm.
some people kind of snitch tagged Cornette. I didn't tag him in it, but people thought that I was talking about him. And then Cornette gets wind of it. And he's like, well, nice knowing you, Brian. And he blocks me. And like, well, that's kind of a silly thing to block me over.
Yeah,
And
of
then,
course.
yeah, I made a video about it. And, people can say what they want about my attitude in it. I think that I stand by a lot of it. But still, I think it's I probably shouldn't have, I didn't want to, I shouldn't have added that because now I've added to the discourse. So I think if
Mhm.
I had the chance, maybe I wouldn't have put the video out. And I think that, um, I'm over it. I think people still want to say, oh, you got blocked by Cornette. They're still talking about it. Some viewers are. And it's like, it doesn't matter to me anymore. Like, Twitter isn't real. And again, like I was saying off air, it's like it happened. It's in the past. It doesn't affect me now. It's like I've kind of reached this point of radical acceptance in a lot of things. And so now it's just like, couldn't really care less about that part of my past.
Right. But then also too, I feel like you gotta stand your ground because he's gonna stand his ground on how he feels.
Mm-hmm.
And you gotta stand your ground about how you feel. And you can't please everybody. Nobody's gonna agree.
Mm-hmm.
Legends, whoever they are, and you stood your ground. This is how you felt. He blocked you. I mean, that's kind of extreme, but at the end of the
Yeah.
day, you're gonna have different opinions. Even your best friends, being married, being a dad, being a brother, being a uncle, what all the hats that we have, or anybody has, wife, sister. You're not gonna agree on everything, but at the same time, okay, that's life. That's okay. We can agree to disagree. So you just stand on your word. If you don't like it, okay. I know he don't like the circus wrestling and the comedic wrestling. He's old school. That's how you
Mm-hmm.
do. Fine.
And that's the
I
thing.
may
It's
like
like
it.
and more power to him. He's passionate about it. I think that he, you know, some people say like, oh, well, it's okay for Cornette to get this pissed about something in wrestling or say this about this wrestler because he cares so much about it. Because it's such a big part of his life, big part of my life too. Like, just because
Yeah, of
it's
course.
special to him and it means a lot to him doesn't mean that he gets to be that he's right or that like he is that his opinion is more important than others because he cares so much. Like, we all care about it and it means a lot to all of us. And it
Yes.
also has been, it's like some of us who have opinions about it also make their money or make their living through wrestling. So it's like I check all the same boxes, and it's kind of silly. And I think that, again, he's entitled to his opinion. I think that sometimes he goes overboard. I think he is needlessly negative on a lot of things. But it's his shtick, and his audience loves it, and it's more power to him, I guess.
Now, before we move on, you say Cornette is needlessly negative. Is this? Do you feel like he's being negative for clickbait standpoint, for views, for subscriptions, for content, where
Well, I'm
he's
sure to some degree. I mean,
okay?
that's kind of why the show exists, because people
Mhm.
like his rants, and people like to see him, get worked up about stuff and make fun of Tony Khan or whatever. And it's just like, yeah, I think he leans into that. I think he knows what his audience wants. And, same way I think I know what my audience wants. And so I put out my stuff the way I do it. And as long as it's working, and as long as you're not hurting anybody, then I think that it's fine. He can make his content, and I think, the algorithm likes negativity. That's why my best of countdowns don't do nearly as well as my worst of countdowns. That's why my videos where I praise something don't often do as well as the ones where I crap all over them.
Yeah, right,
So
exactly.
I think, on one level, I'm sure, this is how Jim really believes about things in wrestling or whatever the topic is. And obviously he's got a flair to how he talks, and he can be very acerbic and, hot-headed and all that. And again, that's his shtick. That's his personality, especially when the camera's on, and, it works for him.
Now, how do you feel? And I know I've been doing broadcasting for we talked off air, and fans that follow my show, my staff. I've been doing broadcasting going on 14 years. I know you've been doing it amazingly for a long time as well. I don't know the year number. How do you feel about the state of podcasting? Because when we started, I know when I started 14 years ago, it wasn't no podcasting. It was radio. How I started in a radio station, formats and segments and segues and commercials and that kind of stuff. You get what I mean? Like how we talked off air with you, and you and I've been personal friends for almost 10 years. We didn't met up, and we talked about how we started similar. What's your thought now with how things went from the broadcasting aspect is where we came from to now podcasting, and everybody got a podcast. All of the boys and girls and boys, and this one, the NFL and wrestling and baseball players. It's like so many different, and it's not. We're not saying as fans as a negative thing, but it's a blow up. You can do a podcast about fingernail polish, about anything you want, clipping toenails,
It's
hair, skin.
yeah, it's
What,
definitely gotten
what's your
more
thought on that?
I mean, everything's gotten more competitive. Like when I started, the TikTok wasn't a thing, like reels weren't a
Yep.
thing, shorts,
Shorts,
what
yeah,
have you.
shorts,
And
yeah.
like, I
That
don't
was
know.
not a thing at all.
I feel that a lot of my success in YouTube has just been purely coincidental, because I feel that YouTube has changed how what they push and the kind of content they push. They've changed it so much in the 11 years now I've been doing this channel, that and well, I have been relatively unchanging in how I've been doing things. I've like gone through phases where I've put more videos out per week and different kinds of videos than I did. But now I'm at this point all these years later where like these are the videos I'm comfortable making. These are the ones that I know are going to do the best on my channel, because I know that the way YouTube is just set up, like I'm punished if a video doesn't do well because I experiment too much or I think too differently about something. And so I'm always aware of that. And I'm aware that YouTube has tried to push shorts, on creators and trying to encouraging them to make more of them. And I try, and it's like, I don't know what these are for. But YouTube, this is what they want to push. And so I don't know. It feels like sometimes I feel the industry and I feel that the way content is delivered and put out, it has changed a lot since I have started, and I've tried in some form or fashion to try and keep up. It does get trickier to like handle it all and to try and find the magic formula. So I think it's just I don't know. I just feel like I just, as long as I keep doing what I'm doing, then I think I'm doing fine, if that makes any sense. But it is just, there's a lot out there, and it's more and more competition for people's eyeballs and attention. That's what any artistic endeavor like YouTube or a podcast or a TV show or a movie, it's all, you're competing with everything, you know. Like wrestling companies aren't just competing with wrestling companies, they're competing with this, and they're competing with just like everything else, you know.
Yeah, yeah, I totally understand it. Let us know when wrestling has saved your life, and or when wrestling helps you through a tough time in your life.
Interesting question. That's deep. When has wrestling saved my life? Hmm. Trying to think if there's anything literal about that one. I don't know. Well, wrestling has certainly kept me going. Like wrestling has saved my life in the sense that it has given me a life that I didn't think was possible before the channel blew up.
Mhm.
And it's changed my life in so many ways. I don't know if, you know, I'd be having the same success if this was a channel about anything else that I was obsessed with, you know, growing up. Um, so yeah, that's kind of how wrestling has saved my life, is that it's just like it's given me this unbelievable career and these incredible experiences.
Mhm.
And as far as when wrestling has like helped me get through a bad time, um, well, 4 years ago, my mother died, and
Rest in peace.
yeah, thank you. It was rough, but like that, this happened on like SummerSlam weekend of
Oh man.
2020,
Oh man.
and yeah, so it was a it was a really interesting, because I remember I was in a hotel, kind of isolated. This is back then, you know, during the prime of COVID, when people just kind of wanted to stay away. You know, I wasn't staying with my folks at their house. I was staying in a hotel. And like then when I found out that my mom had died, that had happened, and I think it was either like that night, or yeah, that night or the night before was when it happened. And then SummerSlam, I watched that, and I watched the NXT special that same like weekend. And I don't know. I think that it wasn't smart of me to try and work through it, like, because I was watching these to review, and I
Mhm.
filmed the review, and it's like I don't think it was wise of me to try and work through it, because it was really difficult. But I think that having the wrestling there was better than not, you
Yes.
know, not
Yes.
being there. So it's like I think it, if anything, it helped kind of take my mind off it. Like it didn't make, like, working through it was really hard, and trying to produce a video was like, especially you're also in a hotel room on your laptop and not in your usual setup, like that made it hard as well. And so it was just like, yeah, that was a rough weekend in many ways, but wrestling did kind of make it slightly better.
I feel you. And I totally understand it. You know, my mom passed in 2017, taking care of her for 5 years on my own. And I know how wrestling really helped me. You know, when I talked about this off air when we hung out multiple times, but working through it definitely does help. Um, but also too, I've learned you gotta find a space where you realize, okay, you want to get therapy. You don't want to get to where you are overworking and you're working to numb the pain, numb the grief, you know,
Hmm.
as you understand it and I understand it. And people listening that has lost, you know, parents, mothers, or dads, is you want to keep busy because it helps. Because as you know, SummerSlam, I didn't know this until now. You know, your mom passed on the weekend. My mom passed July 2017, literally 7 days for her birthday. I got into pro wrestling because of my mom. The NWA, the Road Warriors, Flair, Sting, you know, Ranger Ross, Paul E. Dangerously, the Samoan SWAT team. I got pictures, the Hart Foundation, WWF, Hogan, Freddie Blassie. I got into that because of my mom. So that was always a connection we had. So when my mom passed 2017, like you said, with you, the last pay-per-view match she watched was You're Gonna Laugh and It's Fine, Great Balls of Fire. That random ass pay-per-view. What was that? Joe against
Good
Brock.
one to go out on. Good one to go out
Yeah,
on.
yeah.
Yeah.
She watched it. She wanted to watch it. She liked it. And that was her last pay-per-view she watched. Now the last wrestling thing she watched was WrestleMania 31 with Sting against Triple H. And I vividly remember my mom upstairs in the house. She was in, her bed. And my mom literally sat up. My mom, minister and everything, said, this damn stuff don't make no sense. I said, what's wrong? I didn't know she was watching wrestling. It was on like a repeat or something. We had Fire Sticks. I said, Mom, what's wrong? She said, why is the NWO helping out Sting? Sting then they've been rivals forever. Why are they helping them out against Triple H? That makes no sense. Why are they friends? So I'll never forget that. That was the last thing my mom watched as a repeat was Triple H again. She was watching WrestleMania 31 on a Fire Stick. I set it up for her upstairs. And my mom legit called me from I was working at the time. She called me to tell me. And when I got home, she replayed it. She was like, Slim. She always called me Slim. This don't make sense. Why is the NW helping out Sting? They was fighting each other for all. Sting came down from the roof, hit him with the bats. Like my mom was she she was like, why do they care now? He fights Triple H. So
Right.
I'll
It's
never forget that,
very,
man.
very problematic match, that one. Yeah,
Yes,
it confuses
exactly,
everybody.
man. Exactly, man. Shout out to Mama S. I don't say your last name governmentally because I'm gonna mess it up. But shout out to Mama S. Shout out to my mom, is we call her Mama Tech, loving wrestling and everything with that. Going forward, you yourself, Brian, as a person, who do you consider your doppelganger in wrestling? You look at wrestling right now, currently, any promotion, AW, WWE, New Japan, Ring of Honor, NWA, TNA. Who do you consider yourself to be most like, far as character wise? NXT. I mean, there's so many different promotions and sub promotions. Who do you consider
I don't know.
yourself to be like?
That's a tough one. I try just to be distinctly me, I don't want to try and compare myself to anyone out there. I think that yeah, I think it's important to try and comparison is the thief of joy, I find.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I think that it's great that there's all these different kinds of personalities out there now, like more and more. I think we're seeing a great range of characters across all the different companies. And certainly there are people who are kind of in a place that I would like to be. Like I see it commentary teams, in MLW and Impact or TNA and other companies like that, AEW, ROH, and it's like that's kind of the level I want to get to. I want to definitely see that, and so I'll hear them and like I hear how they do their stuff on air, and it's always good to like just kind of like listen to how they deliver, how they do their job, like what are they doing that's working? Because I'm always trying to evolve as well and always trying
Right.
to get better with commentary and backstage interviews and things like that, because that's definitely a big passion of mine. It's something that I've definitely picked up on wanting to do more since I did work for ROH pre-buyout, and it's just been so yeah, to answer your question, I don't really think there's anyone I could say, oh, I'm the most like this guy, because I don't really want to do that. Like I've been trying to spend the last 18 years or 17 years of my wrestling career trying to avoid being compared to other people. So
Right.
that's probably the best answer I could give.
Okay. And that's a great answer. And you and I have been close for the past 18 years, and you already know I'm gonna ask the hard questions and ask you some stuff that you never been asked before. Somebody hits you with two, and out of respect, I'll give my retort after you do. And I know you've never been asked this. Mount Rushmore. I've been there. 4 spots. 4 horsemen. 4 spots, right? I want Brian Zane right now, 4-time YouTuber, wrestler with Wregret, done a lot of great things. I want you to tell me your Mount Rushmore of the greatest, far as the biggest superstars in wrestling ever. And then I want you to tell me your personal favorite Mount Rushmore or your 4 favorite wrestlers ever. So the first one, give me your 4 as you feel like are the biggest superstars in wrestling ever. And then next, I want you to tell me your biggest 4 as far as this personal in your personal
Okay,
opinion that
that's
you enjoy.
interesting. Kind of a dual Mount Rushmore. Well, okay, this is tough because you want to talk greatest wrestling superstars of all time. I would say there's Bruno, there's Hogan, there's Santo, or I'd say one of the
Mm-hmm.
greatest of all time as far as a superstar, and then
Mm-hmm.
you try to find that 4th spot, probably Austin. And I know I'm leaving out of other very good other candidates, but that's kind of just like with that parameter, I guess. Ricky Dozon would be the 5th. Then you've got
Honorable mention right there
my
on the
personal.
side,
Let's
on the
chisel
side of the
out.
cliff.
Get
Right.
ahead real fast.
Right there.
Personal Mount Rushmore. That's more like Kurt Angle, Chris Jericho,
As you see in
early
the
Brock,
back,
early Brock Lesnar,
Baby Brock.
um,
Baby
Baby
Brock.
Brock, and gosh, I don't know. As far as my Mount Rushmore, the biggest wrestlers to me is those 3, and early Kane, I guess, is probably another one. Like,
Now,
I
when you
think
say
those
early
ones.
Kane, do you mean like 97, 98, 99? Are you talking about like 02, 03? You gotta be specific because the fans,
No, it's gotta be OG Kane. OG Kane with the mask
97,
stripes.
97, 98, 99.
Yeah, 99, 97 through like 2001, probably.
2001. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna give you mine. My Mount Rushmore for as biggest superstars in wrestling history. Bruno Sammartino, Hogan. I gotta go worldwide. Inoki in Austin.
Okay, so we're pretty
Those
close.
4.
We're
Because I will debate anybody and I will argue anybody that's listening now. They know me personally because I had personal debates with my personal friends and even professional. And no, I said worldwide, Inoki, because we got overall wide.
I would
Now
also.
my
Sorry, I hate to cut you off. I will say I would probably also say Gorgeous George is probably on that bubble as well because he's kind
yeah,
of the first superstar. He was the
yes,
first television wrestling star. So,
yes.
all right, but I'll let you go back.
If I had to remove Inoki, for as if you're looking at this strictly United States, I would say Flair to replace Inoki. But because I want to be worldwide, as far as America, Inoki is Bruno, Hogan, Flair, Austin. If you add Japanese with one, it is Bruno, Hogan, Inoki, Austin. As far as my personal favorites, Sting, Taker, Angle, Steamboat.
Mm.
And I can even give you a Japanese one, which I will say Liger, Muda, Kabashi. The fourth one is hard. I'm gonna give Masawa.
Okay.
So Inoki, Muda, Liger, Misawa, Masawa. Them four. Did I say four? Inoki, Muda,
Yeah, you got him. You got
Penta, Masawa.
him.
Yeah, right there. Decided that because we got to give love to Japan. We got to. And
Absolutely.
Jericho was great too. Jericho, if it was a top 10, Jericho would be. He would be out of my four. He would be like 5 or 6. That's why the background is here, guys, because this is Zane's favorite version of Jericho, 2008 seat wearing Jericho, as you said.
Yeah, I like that you changed the background to this, by the way, really making me feel at home,
Yes.
because I also have a wall that is just a picture of Chris Jericho.
Yes. What's your favorite? Give me 2 or 3 your favorite Chris Jericho matches.
Oh, well, I mean, his ladder match with Shawn Michaels at No Mercy is a great one. I gotta show love to the first Stadium Stampede that he was a part of. I think that was a generational matchup, honestly, and I think that was some of the that was much needed levity in the midst of the pandemic early on. And trying to think of other great Jericho matches, like a lot of his work in Japan with Benoit, really good stuff. His series with Benoit in WWF, for that matter, like the ladder match with him at Royal Rumble. He loves his ladder matches. Yeah, he's had a lot of good ones for sure. More than that, though, I just think that his character and his personality, and especially what he did, I just talked about it in the video I put out a week or two ago of like Chris Jericho's time in WCW. That was like when I first discovered him, and like, oh my god, what a brilliant, hilarious character this is. And yeah, he was like one of my favorites, and I was totally on board with him. Like when he made that jump to WWF, and like I was totally like just I've been somebody who's been kind of like rooting for him
Yeah, yeah.
the entire time since he left left WCW. And so he's a real, and like I would say that early on when I was starting to wrestle, like I kind of considered him an inspiration character wise. Obviously, I never like took to the air or did anything like him in the ring, but it was definitely like kind of a mood or a vibe or a persona that I was trying to, borrow some elements from. But yeah, I think that's just like probably, yeah, if I had to pick an all-time favorite just throughout the years, it would
Mhm.
probably be like Jericho. Just I think also it helps because he's just still been going for as long as I've been watching wrestling. Um, so who knows what the opinion would have been like if he like never came back after he left the first time in like '05 or
Yeah.
something like that, or if AEW was never a thing. But it's you know, he's still, learning tree is a polarizing gimmick, but he still has
Yeah.
some moments of brilliance, and I think that overall his
He
career has just kind of like been very,
he
very strong and very fun to watch.
he definitely has reinvented himself a million times plus. He's copyrighted. I'm not sure if you got a chance to look it up,
Well, he
but he's
trademarked my
copyrighted.
gimmick.
He did. I was gonna say he
Yeah,
trademarked a lot of shit. So what did he trademark for you?
he trademarked the influencer. I'm like, I reached out to him, like, I've been doing the influencer on the indies for the last like 4 years. Like, it's
Right, you have
literally
been.
embroidered on my gimmick, when I'm out there. And like, he didn't know that. And then like, you notice that was of all the different gimmicks and stuff he's had since AEW, that one lasted the least, the shortest amount of time. He did not stick with that very long. They kept it. They kept the name graphic for the JAS videos when they had all the names.
Yeah.
The influencer
Mhm.
was up for a
Yeah.
while, but it's like common law trademark, my friend. Like I didn't. Hey, good on you for trademarking it, but it was mine first. So
Yeah, he took the influencer from you, man. I'm sorry about that. he
Yeah.
he didn't trademark a lot of stuff. Definitely. I mean, I know that from us having insiders in the business. There's a video out on YouTube that talks about all the trademarks in the copyrights that he filed and won. Some is just weird as shit. But to his credit, he's reinvented himself so much. And that's how you stay fresh to learn the tree now, when the painkiller and the painmaker and the Ayatollah rock and roller, we know Jericho, Smoky Mountain, and all the way up to WCW, ECW, WWF, WWE, AW, the stuff outside, Fuzzy.
Pretty much everything but TNA. I mean, even then, he had a little bit of influence in that because I think one of his Fozzy songs was a pay-per-view track. So it's like,
It was,
yeah, he's
yeah.
definitely been like everywhere. He's been everywhere, man.
He was. You gotta give him credit, and he's one of the first superstars in wrestling that has transcended past wrestling. People outside of wrestling know him. He's done stuff outside of wrestling. Fozzy, he done stuff on different Dancing with the Stars and other game shows and other stuff. So you definitely gotta give him credit for that. Like him or love him, that's what he does. I mean, my two top favorites of all time, Sting and Taker, both changed their their look over the years, the different stuff. So this is how you just have to be. Very quickly, because I know you have family stuff to do in time. I want you to tell me now, because we'll do a part two soon in the next couple of weeks. Brian Zane, Russell Wregret, founder, host, face figure. I want you to tell me, if you can only watch 3 single matches in wrestling to get you going throughout the day, what would they be?
Mm. Well, I'd probably say the aforementioned Stadium Stampede 1. Kurt Angle, Brock Lesnar from WrestleMania 19. And let's say Sami Zayn, Johnny Knoxville, Mania 38. I think those would be probably my comfort matches.
Was that 38? Yeah, time go by quick.
Yeah,
Wow.
that was Dallas.
Wow. Because we we about to be 41 now.
You'll be 41. I'm going to be 40 in January. Or WrestleMania 41. I thought you were talking about
Yes, at WrestleMania, not my age, man.
Because I'll be 40 next year. I'll be 40 in January.
I'm already past that. I'm talking about WrestleMania. That's a good one, man. I like how you threw that red in. I appreciate you. WrestleMania years. Dang, 38. That's crazy. Yeah, because we at 40 now, and we be at 48, 41 next year.
That's crazy.
And I do, and fans, I apologize. You see me looking down. Talking to my staff that can't be on currently. Did you want to know, real quickly, last question, your thoughts on the ending of Bad Blood with Roman and Cody beating the Bloodline, Jimmy coming back, The Rock coming back doing a 1, 2, 3 throat cut. What's your thoughts on it? Do you see a triple threat at Mania 41?
It's
How do you feel?
If you got Bloodline, you got a lot of overbooked craziness. You got the extra bodies coming in. Jimmy coming back is cool. I guess they're setting up, I would imagine, something for War Games and Survivor Series. So they gotta bring the people back. And as far as The Rock showing up, that's kind of what they were teasing, is that he's going to be involved now at some point. And when they've been reporting, oh, his schedule's too busy for WrestleMania, that dead ass means he's going to be working at WrestleMania. So I think a triple threat is fine, because I think people want to see him wrestle Cody one-on-one, and they want to see him wrestle Roman one-on-one.
Of course. Yeah.
I don't know if we have the patience to do one at a time for the next 2 Manias. And I don't think Rock's working 2 nights. He's not wrestling full matches 2 nights in a row. So
we did last year, he and Russell, but he just showed up.
He showed up and just did some bit bops and all that. But I mean, I think a triple threat's still on the table. I'm sure something like that will happen. And if we don't, or we'll get, a singles match. with like Rock and one of them, and then like maybe we'll get the other one at SummerSlam. Like, I think that's a possibility. Now that all these pay-per-views are getting to be 2 nights, like, and these big spectacles, I think anything's possible in terms of like when and who.
Fan question from my man Smalls. What are your thoughts on the 2 nights? Do you agree with the 2-night format for WrestleMania and SummerSlam, or do you agree with the 1 night?
Like, I would rather have a 2-night WrestleMania where each night's about 4 hours than having to sit through an 8-hour WrestleMania over 1 night. I was not happy the last couple of times I did that.
You know, then, we know we've been through that together. You know.
So, like, I think a 2-night WrestleMania makes a lot of sense. A 2-night Rumble makes a lot of sense. That way you get a Rumble match each night. But they're doing it with SummerSlam now, and you know they're going to do it with Survivor Series, maybe. They don't really care about Survivor Series that much.
Yeah, nobody cares about that. Ain't nobody care about Survivor Series since 2004.
Right.
What was the one with Austin Job was on the line 04? Nobody care about that shit.
It's you know, I think it's just the sign of like WWE thinks they can make more money. They will, and it'll be a big deal for them. But I think it's a bubble, and that kind of output I don't think is sustainable to do it for every Big Four show. I think it's kind of ridiculous. I think it was more special when it was just WrestleMania, but now I think they're going to expand it. And so I think it's good in some places, but I think that the fact that they're doing more of them now just feels like it's becoming a glut, and it's again, there's a bubble, and I think at some point it might burst.
Well, I agree. And I want to say this before we end is, just being, as you know, how our show is being very transparent and very brutally honest, and is how you are with your show. And a lot of times you told me off air was like, damn, Evan, you more rougher than me. Because I'm from Baltimore, straight up. People don't understand is when you're media, it's a lot. Us as media, people that do media for a living. We have a show, radio show, podcast. We go to the press conferences. We go, for us as media, as Zane versus Wregret, as myself, Under the Mat Radio, and my staff. People don't realize that 1 night is long as shit, because it's not only 6, 7, 8 damn hours of WrestleMania, and that's that Sunday. We also gotta go 2, 3 days before. We gotta fly or drive, get there to the hotel. It's a bunch of other shows there that we support, smaller shows that we go to, as you know. We're there going to their shows, supporting them, doing commentary, doing interviews, doing photos, doing, in-ring segments, doing XYZ. This is all leading up to WrestleMania. Other shows that you go to, you got to support. So as media, WrestleMania back then, 1 day Sunday, 7, 8 hours. We're there Thursday, Friday, maybe. Hall of Fame, NWA show, Ring of Honor show, TNA show, promotions that you never heard from, but we know because we have friends in the business, we gotta go to support. We still gotta do interviews, do pregame, do postgame. You get what I mean? Post promote. That's the stuff we do that people don't get.
We don't gotta do any of those.
We don't have to, but
I think it's fun. I think being media and having the privilege to cover things, for a channel or for a podcast or whatever, I think that's really cool. I think the older I get and the longer I've been doing this, like the more I try to take it easy on myself, because like exactly. I would definitely do that thing where I would go to a Mania or I would go to a pay-per-view, and then the first thing me and my friend would do, we'd get in the car and we'd sit there and we'd film our take on it, or we go back to the hotel room, and then I'm like, okay, right now, time to edit, blah, 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 and I'm up to like 3 a.m, doing this, and it's like,
yes, exactly.
And now I'm at that point now where I don't want to do that anymore, and so when people get mad when I take my time putting like pay-per-view reviews out, like my Bad Blood review came out like on like Tuesday, and the show was Saturday,
and I just watched earlier.
in an earlier era, that thing would have been out and up by like, 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning on Sunday morning. But now it's like, no, I value rest. I value time with family, and I value,
Because we got family, you know what I mean? We
yeah,
got
and
families. Like,
those videos are going to get watched regardless, and they'll probably
exactly.
get the same amount of views regardless, and if the audience is there. And so, yeah, I take my time with it, and sometimes I have these like wrestling bookings that conflict, and I can't watch the pay-per-view, so I'll watch it a little bit later just because I can, because that's like what we are afforded with this like on-demand world we live in.
Exactly.
And so it's like it's yeah. So with media, there's like a certain fun, and you can make it as hard or as easy as you want it to. And I
You just
think
gotta pace yourself. Because
I'm in a place now where I know my pace, and I know like what I can do and what I want to do. And
exactly.
it's definitely something that's come with time. And I couldn't be as lax about it before as I am now in terms of my
Exactly.
release schedule, but now I can't do the inverse,
Yeah.
in this time.
And you're
So
younger than me. You're younger than me. So I get it. Like, it's times when traveling like that, where at times you get paid, like, hey, do my show, I pay you XYZ, whether it be food or, I pay you to do, you got to pace yourself. As you said,
mhm,
like, we got families, we got XYZ, we got to travel, we still got to eat, we still got the Airbnb, we still got to drive or carpool. That's the stuff that people don't get. And like you said, and I watched a Bad Blood review today, people like, oh, I want it right away. Like, dude, that's post production, that's editing. That at times is more stressful than actually doing the interview or doing the reviews where we watch the pay per views at home or we're there writing down notes and rewatching it. The post production is even, not to say worse in a bad way, but it takes more effort because you gotta get the lighting right and that right and the sound and this, that, and the other. Make sure
mhm,
you got your thumbnails and your title boards. And then when you're dealing with a certain, you interview certain people, you gotta make sure it's clear. Okay, is this picture okay? Do you want that? Do you want this? If they got an agent, if they got a PR rep, that's the stuff that we deal with that people don't see. And I say all this to say to give more appreciation so the fans listening know how much work it takes for what you do as a full-time YouTuber. All the work that I've done of being in broadcasting going on 14 years, the where they see, fans watch ESPN, CBS for football. Football is big right now. You see them talking right there for 2, 3 hours, but they don't know before that they got pre-production and they are there for 2, 3 hours writing down notes, doing film study, doing all them statistics, have a statistician. It's a lot of work that go on to that. So for you, Brian, to have a successful platform, Russell with Regret, 11 years, being on YouTube, full-time YouTuber, having the gold plaque and what have you, I want the fans to know what it takes behind the scenes because they just see you, oh, Bad Blood, Survivor Series, Final Resolution, TNA, AEW, All In, All Out, Up Your Butt, all the random ass names they say, you know what I'm saying? But the timing that you had to put in before, you get what I mean? To do it. The timing you got to do afterwards, where you got to do the pre-production so people realize, yo, you see my man Brian Zane and Russell Wregret doing the 15, 20-minute video. That's what you see. But do you know that this man then did at least 6, 7 hours of pre-prep?
yeah,
That's just the setup for the video. That's not even talking about post when you got all your notes together. You got the review and all of the notes to do the video. Once you record it, then after that it's post production where you gotta do edits, light, sound, everything good. How I feel, do I need to shave, not shave?
yeah.
you know,
There's a
but that
lot of that goes
it's
into
a
every
lot of stuff
video.
that
A
goes
lot goes
into
in every video.
everything, and people don't get that. Where it's like, yo, people see what you do, you see what I do. Oh, you did a good 2 hour interview. Like, dude, it took me 9 hours of prep. What you mean prep? I gotta do
Mhm.
research. I gotta watch stuff. I gotta do this. I know about Bad Blood because of you. Because when Bad Blood happened, that was my birthday weekend. So I watched a Bad Blood review today because I didn't watch it. I got it loaded up in my office. Let me watch. I do this all the time. If I don't watch a pay-per-view, what's the first thing I tell you? I'm gonna go to my man Zane. I'm gonna watch it. Watch his review first, so I know what's happening. But guess what? I still got to go back and watch it for myself, so I can do my own review for my own show. So I say this for fans that listen, that hit me up regular, that hit our show up regular, that me hit you up regular about being a legit broadcaster and a journalist. It's a lot of work that goes into this, and you do it because you love it. And the fact that my man Brian Zane, wrestled with Regret, has started from day zero to now. He got the gold plaque, y'all. The gold. I
Oh
don't know
no,
what.
no. You get the gold plaque when you hit 1 million subscribers.
What you
I
got?
have the silver plaque.
Oh, you got the silver. I'm sorry, you got the
I'm
silver
at
plaque, which is
378. I don't know if I'll hit 1 million in my lifetime.
you will,
But
you
it's
will,
fun to
you
think
will,
about.
you will. My man got the silver plaque of YouTube. I thought you had the gold. I apologize. You got the silver plaque. That still shows recognition of the hard work that you've done. I get it. You and I both get it. People don't get it. You got recognition from YouTube, yo. And we know with the world and the idiosyncrasies of YouTube and switching up shit, we know the changes over the years, 11 years ago, 14 years ago to now, the loopholes we dealt with. I had to build my own YouTube from scratch because of changes and stuff. You still got to play it. That means a lot because your dedication to your hard work. You a dad, you a husband, a brother, a mentor, a lover of Cracker Barrel. I got to throw that in there. So that means a lot, man. So I'm proud of you for that. You'll get to go. You'll get to go plaque. You will.
Oh, thanks you. I
You will.
appreciate that. We'll see one day. We'll see.
You will, man. Keep it up, man. I don't have a plaque on YouTube because I just start from the beginning. But the Lord bless me where I got my accolades, you got yours, and we do it because and we don't do it because of money. And I want people listening to know Brian Zane don't do this because of the money. I'm sure he gets paid. I've been blessed to where I've got some ducats and got bread and got paid for what I did, but it ain't all because of the money. We do it because we love it. We love the content. We love giving you guys as our fans, subscribers, listeners, haters, lurkers, all of that. Because y'all listen to and watch too, because that's what we love. And the fact that you love it, I commend you. You, Chris Featherstone, married 3 kids, got a PhD, does like 3, 4 shows, a life coach. You love it. And the fact that you've been doing it, brother, you've been an inspiration to me. And I really appreciate that. Because you know what I've been through personally. I ain't gotta get through it. And I watched your show and you really inspired me to keep going when I felt down, vice versa. So
I
you got
appreciate
it.
that. Yeah,
You got
man.
little kids. You got the daughters, you got Mrs. Zane, you got,
Yeah.
Mrs. Regret. I don't want to call her Mrs. Regret because she probably beat my ass.
I got kids. I need this job. It's been a labor of love, definitely. And yeah, I consider myself very lucky that the channel has provided for me and my family, and I've also been able to hire people, full time with this channel, and it's been really cool. And again, it's something I never really expected to happen. And I don't know when the ride will stop, but I'm definitely just very grateful that I've been able to achieve all that I have. And it's not just me, it's like the people I've worked with, it's people who've supported me, it's the viewers who have just like grown and grown in all the years that I've been doing this. And they're what make this all possible. It's all very reciprocal. So
It is. Now, does Mrs. Zane, does she prefer you with the beard or without the beard?
she thinks it looks nice, but doesn't like kissing me with it. So that's a bit of a conundrum.
I
And
understand, brother.
I will condition the heck out of it too. I put the beard cream, I put the beard oil. It is
Yes,
soft as a newborn kitten, but she
I
still doesn't
understand.
like it. And so it's hard to
I
to
understand,
find that
brother.
balance. But it's yeah, I like the beard too, but it is kind of a pain in the butt to maintain.
Does it itch a lot for you?
No, I think I've gotten over that, you know. And again, when I condition it enough, it's fine. And it's like, you know, the only thing I miss when I have a beard is being able to just kind of go and like blow the dust off my lenses. I can't do that with the mustache; it gets in the way.
Yeah.
So,
I will say shout out to my man and personal friend Snitsky, Gene Snitsky. Shout out to you, brother. Love you much. You need any beard tips, I'll send you his information. He is
oh,
legit
I'm
into the
good.
beard and the oil, and I learned through him about they got like beard grooming championships, and they got like a whole culture and all of that. So
I'm still done.
you
I
know,
think I'm almost done.
yeah. Shout out to the Snitsky and his wife. So if you need any beard tips, man, I got you on that. I learned from him. I got my goatee. I keep it like this for a reason. And then when I had to do work for HBO and Paramount Plus, I couldn't shave for 5 months. You remember them times my beard was long and all them grays and stuff would happen. So,
Hmm.
but thanks man for your time. I know we're a little overtime. I know you gotta take care of some stuff. But this is part one of Wrestling with Regret. Brian Zane got the silver plaque of YouTube. Check his show out. He will get the gold plaque very soon. Great
One
father,
day.
great wife, a great person, great friend. Check his stuff out. He just released his Bad Blood review on YouTube.
Yeah.
Please check it out. Wrestling with Regret. That's with a W.
Yeah, be sure
The
to
word
check out
regret.
Pal Pro Wrestling, which is the company I do commentary for pretty regularly. We're going to go live for the first time on October 19th, so next Saturday. And also, you can check me out on Prestige Wrestling, which is running a lot in the West Coast. And I just helped call another event from the Roseland Theater, and that was definitely a show you want to watch if you like indie wrestling, if you like watching a lot of different styles. Prestige Wrestling is going to be really your bag. But that's where you can check me out too when I do commentary.
That's great. Check it out. Brian, please send that to me if you can via text or YouTube. I'll definitely check it out. Thanks, Brian, for your time. I know you got stuff to take care of as myself. This is part one of Wrestling with Regret. This will be uploaded within a week, and we'll be back soon with part two on Skype with Brian Zane, Wrestling with Regret. Thanks for your time, brother. Have a
Yeah,
good
man,
day, and
appreciate it.
talk to you soon, man. I appreciate it.
All right.
All right, thanks.